This week on Erotic Awakening, 16 years of podcasting in a review of 2024.
Welcome to Erotic Awakening, an exploration of all things erotic. If you are offended by adult topics or prohibited by law, we recommend you stop listening right now.
We want to thank our latest patron supporters,
Ash
and Carrie.
Thanks so much. Your support really keeps us going.
And as you'll find out even more about that shortly, head over to patreon.com/Erotic Awakening today and get your bonus content and support the show.
Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dawn. How are you this fine day?
Oh, a little tired just writing this list of what we've done in the last year. It is no wonder we're both so worn out.
Isn't it a bit late to be doing our yearly review? It is February already.
Well, yes, it is February, but when you see the list, you'll understand why we are behind. But also, it's kind of cool to do that review on the anniversary show. So 16 years of doing this podcast. I don't know how I feel about that.
When is the 16-year official?
Official, I think it's like tomorrow. So going over to the calendar, looking at the calendar, Wednesday, February 12th.
Okay, very cool.
Is the official anniversary. We started in 2009.
It's interesting that when we started the podcast, I would not be able to say the following sentence, or the following sentence would make no sense to anyone in the world. I'm currently asking ChatGTP how many podcasts have been around over 16 years.
Ooh, I don't know that I can name any. And I actually advertise our podcast as the longest running kink polyamory podcast, but we're actually the longest running kink podcast that is still running and the longest running polyamory podcast that is still running. The two that were longer than us have stopped recording and we're still going. So 16 years. Do you have anything? Did it come up with anything?
It mentioned podcasts like This American Life, the Daily Show with Jon Stewart, which is a weird one that I didn't think it would be around, and the Moth Podcast, which is a storytelling podcast, which I've listened to a few times. So there are a number of podcasts, but we are in rare company for sure.
Indeed. And we are a little niche, which they do not fall in. They are bigger podcast than we are. But we've been able to stick around because of our patron supporters. And at the beginning, we didn't have patron supporters. We had people emailing us going, "Oh my God, we love your show." And that kept us going,
Sure.
Right? So just the word of it. But I wanted to I started thinking, before we started this show, people are used to me starting sentences and then totally turning them around.
Right, sure.
Anyway, I started typing this morning what it is we've done over the last year, and just to throw some stuff out there, kind of like a yearly review. What has Dan and Dawn done over the last year? And then I started putting down some of the shows that we've done over the last year, right? So 16 years of this show. Do you want to hear what, and it's a review of 2024. Do you want to hear some of the things?
I want to start off, actually, this is me turning it on your head.
Okay.
With the significant personal changes that have happened in the last year.
Oh, I put those in there too. There's a list of like 15 things there that we've done. Personal changes is on there, but are you thinking of like, I know there's been relationship changes. There's been location changes. There's been, gosh, I don't even know how to say it.
Well, let's not foreshadow. Let's start off with that I have left my full-time employment of 21 years.
Right.
And that just happened fairly recently. And that's been it's been a big adjustment for me, of course, but it's been a big adjustment for us. One of the reasons that we've been able to keep the podcast going for so long is we are, sponsored by? Not really, but supplemented by the fact that I've got this corporate job, which, it kind of just pays all the bills and we don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, our book sales are up or down, or the patrons are up or down.
And we've been able to present for free. And so you've had the corporate job of 21 years. I've had on and off corporate jobs that have supplemented, over the years. Not currently. I've been focusing on the books and the podcast and the Zooms and all that type of stuff. But yeah, you just left your corporate job, so things are changing, as in we're going to have to come off the road
Hmm.
and we're going to have to live small. So
Yes.
we have found a place to live small, and we are going to do that. And not only that change, but we're going to. There's just some things we're going to have to do financially to make this work.
Yeah, absolutely. We're making some adjustments. Nobody out there is surprised by hearing, "Oh my gosh, you lost your job. You're making financial changes." Well, that's of course
Right.
normal, right? The obvious ones. Do we really need Netflix and HBO and Amazon Prime? Those are the obvious ones that come to mind. But like you said, we've been living on the road for the past couple of years as an RV living. And instead, we've decided here's a nice little spot in the corner of nowhere, Arizona, where the cost of living is fantastic. And we said, let's just sit here for the next 8 or 9 months. And
Figure out what we're going to do next.
exactly,
So, though
exactly.
we do have things in motion, which I would like to talk about, the thing that concerns me, though, is that we're going to stay here for the next, at least over the summer. We have things all organized with that, but we're also going to be in hot, hot temperature. So, we're going to be flipping how we sleep, how we work, so that we are not out during the
Yeah.
hot part of the day.
The interesting thing is the reason that we will be living cheap is because we are in an area where, if you're familiar with the concept of snowbirding, right? It's an area where during the wintertime it is super warm, relatively speaking. I mean, it's mid-February right now, and I'm running around in shorts. And in the summertime, it gets atrociously hot. What normal people do is they come here in the winter and they leave and go somewhere
North.
cool north. So we're living opposite Snowbird, which makes things really inexpensive, but it does give us environmental challenges.
Indeed. So, adventure. We'll see how that
Absolutely.
goes. But along with that, we are also, I keep wanting to say, we're moving in one of your partners, but that's not how this is going.
Correct.
Sean is going to be part of the household, but that is not her moving in with us. That is the three of us
Combining a household. I like the
combining
way
a
you have it here.
household.
What we're doing is instead of trying to fit her into the RV or us jump into her existing abode, we're creating something brand new.
Right. So, we're kind of like walking away from it, maybe is the wrong verbiage as well, but things are changing.
Hmm.
Things are changing. We've been living kind of separately for the last few months,
Hmm.
as in, I've been in the RV, Sean is in a park model, and you kind of float between us.
Right.
But for the summer, that feels kind of odd because you're not going to want to go between us during 120-degree days. So we have decided how to combine a small household, and we'll see how that works, right? Adventure. We don't know how that's going to work, but we are combining a lot of things.
Yeah, it is really, as longtime listeners know, we are the authors of the Polyamory Toolkit, and we've done a ton of teaching about polyamory. So for us, it is kind of an evolution, although we've lived in threesomes before, or three people households is a better way to say it. We haven't lived in something like this situation where it's just a different attitude to it. In our previous setups, it was, well, Dan really likes this partner and Dan really likes this partner. So Dan's two partners are going to live with Dan. And although in one definition you could say that's what we're doing here, it's not really what we're building. It's more of a non,
It's a combined household.
yes, great. Let's go. That's right. Let's just
Yes,
go back.
because I
There's
see you
not,
trying to figure out words, and there's not really words for
yes,
it, right? When we talk about Karen and living with Karen, it was two households
under one roof.
under one roof combined with a door that the dog could run between each side of the house in, right?
Hmm.
And this one is just going to be different. So it is combined household. That's the goal.
Yeah. And Dawn, you may not know this, but what we are doing on this is going to be a two-part show. Today we're going to talk about all the stuff the more personal stuff, like we've been
Hmm.
talking about so far. And then our next episode, just how much stuff the podcast itself and Erotic Awakening itself has done. I didn't know if you knew that.
I did not know that. I was just
No,
writing things down timeline like I do because
I
I'm in the logical brain right
Yep.
now.
Because one of the things that we are doing, we're focused on right now and have been focused on, we've always been focused on. Matter of fact, even on our Discord channel, there is a area for fitness and health. For people that are exercising or changing their diet, that kind of thing, taking care of their physical bodies.
Well, not only, and I know where you're going with this, I think, but I also want to throw in there not only are we paying attention to our physical bodies, but our mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a deep dive on that just starting a year ago. It's hard to
Mm-hmm.
believe it's only been a year that we've started the deep dive with new things for our mental health.
Right.
But let's go into the physical because you're right. One of the reasons for staying in this little corner piece of Arizona is for our physical
Yep.
health because we're down here with friends who also concentrate on their physical health.
Not only that, absolutely, that's a big aspect of it. And that's exactly why this is a show that is going to be broken into two parts because in 10 minutes, I'm leaving for one of the 3 or 4 physical health things I'm doing today. And one of the things about living, we made this choice. We're going to live somewhere totally different for us. Instead of a place that has a big kink community, a lot of presenting opportunities, big airport so we can fly to our gigs, we said, let's live somewhere where the focus is there's not a lot to do except for spend a year focused on the physical health and really make that change that we always talk about. Like, oh, one day I'm going to get healthy. Nope, it's this year.
Yeah, but and you say that, but we are so focused on physical health. We do that wherever we travel to. We
True.
hike, we do all the things. We make sure to get your push-ups in every day, all that type of stuff. But being here with friends that also focus on that, like you said, they teach classes. So
Mm-hmm.
we're getting ready to go to 2 classes that they teach at one of the RV parks. And you've probably already done your push-ups for today, or you may do them later. We do stretches, we're doing water Tabata. We're doing a lot of things with a lot of focus on that. We won't be able to hike. It's going to be too freaking hot. There's going to be rattlesnakes and scorpions and some weird fucking thing called sun spiders. I never want to see one of those. I saw a picture and about freaked me out. I never want to see one of those in person. So yeah, we're going to be down here doing that, but lots of indoor stuff.
And we recognize everybody has different physical abilities and opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we're certainly not trying to, whatever you would call, physically shame anyone who doesn't have.
Oh no, this is just our focus.
But for us, it's one of the benefits of leaving this corporate job of many years is I can finally take these exercise classes I've been thinking about and finally take care of some of the niggling issues with my body that, oh, one day I'll get this fixed up. You know, well, now is the day. So that's what we're focusing on for year 16 of the podcast. Well, actually, year inserts ages for human
Insert our
beings.
ages. So can I, because I know we're getting ready to leave, but this is supposed to be also a review of maybe some of the shows.
Nope.
That can I no. Okay, so
I was going
we're
to
just
save
gonna
those
finish
for
up
next.
and run.
I was going to save those and keep this show focused on us stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, then can I mention one more thing? And I know you really want to run.
Mm-hmm.
So, but and we are so busy, people. I'm sorry that I've had to repost. I mentioned it as I grabbed into the archive last week and pulled something out by the rabbit ears.
Mm-hmm.
So, just deep dive. But we really wanted to give you guys something today. The other thing that we've been focusing on is our mental health
Mm-hmm.
and helping other people with their mental health like we do.
Yeah.
And since the truck accident that happened a year and a half ago and being on the road and COVID and, losing Bat and losing friends and all this stuff, my world was daily anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you actually understood what that anxiety felt like because I was just living with it at that point. It was just a daily overlap. That is how my life was. And then you developed some anxiety and you came to me and you're like, is this what your life is like? And I'm like, yeah. You're like, oh, no, no, this is not good.
Mm-hmm.
So a year ago, we had actually decided to get into hypnosis. And we've been following the path with that. And a lot of what we've been doing recently is self hypnosis and working with other people
Hmm.
and learning skills and all this stuff. And it's layering on everything else that we do, the mentoring, the spiritual stuff, the everything. And through the self hypnosis and through your help with helping me with hypnosis, I have cleared that anxiety.
Hmm.
So my mental health stuff is like so amazing right now. I've actually got, instead of fear about all these changes that are going on with us, I actually have a sense of curiosity. I have not felt that in a very long time. So
Hmm.
this is kind of amazing. So not just a physical stuff that we're doing and going to be concentrating on, but our mental health as well. And I'm having a blast with that and love that we can share those tools with other people, because that's something we're going to be talking about as well, is what are your next steps
Yeah.
after your corporate job?
And we've often talked about, maybe not these words, that we are heart-centered healers, but
Mm,
hypnotherapy has been a wonderful opportunity for us to take the decades of tools we already have and give it a nice little bow tie, so to speak, in a way to assist other people, as well as, of course, with ourselves.
indeed.
And as you mentioned, right, not only the stress that you've been going through, that I've been going through, but, for people who listen to the podcast that live in the United States, the whole thing is pretty stressful.
No shit.
If you are, regardless, I'm not going to get too deep into this aspect, regardless of how you voted in that last election and how you feel about the results, I think that you would agree that both sides, that there's a lot of anxiety producing content
Hmm.
and there always has been, right? That's what the media does. If you launch any generic website, it's the 10 reasons why you need a bomb shelter, and these 5 viruses are going to kill you this year, and whatever it is. And of course, some of these are very legitimate concerns for, as we have been in the alternative community for many years. If you are well, if you're a human, but specifically laws against trans people, laws against, as we move deeper and deeper into people needing to go underground or feeling that they need to go underground. Again, without getting too deep into it, a lot of people feeling a lot of anxiety right now. And
Absolutely.
so I've stepped back and I said, well, I can't really fix the election or change it. And what I can do is help people with anxiety. And I've got a direction to do that in. With the corporate job being shut down, I've started to work on, and you're going to hear more about this shortly, a new nonprofit that specifically targets and comes to the aid of us in the alternative community, in the kink community, marginalized community, helping to deal with issues around stress, anxiety, as well as the bevy of information we have around the sexuality issues and all that kind of stuff. It's called Echoes Within, and it is super close to being ready for a full scale kickoff. And you will hear more about that on the podcast. But that's where another place we're putting energy into right now.
Absolutely. So, and like I said, next week, I really want to go over what we've done in the last year, and you'll see how busy we are. And then we're going to shift some of that focus, like you said, to the hypnotherapy and helping people out with their anxiety and, stuff like that. Though we also have other book projects on the list.
Oh, yeah.
So much stuff we want to do. Anyway, if you want to talk to us about any of the stuff that we've mentioned, Echoes Within, anxiety, our new projects or anything like that, we do still have some big places that we are going to in 2025. So you can check us out. Come talk to us when we are at Intrigue in Indy in February,
Or Kinky College in Chicago in March.
or Scissortail Leather Conference in Tulsa in June.
Keep up with all of our events, book news, discounts, and more via the Erotic Awakening newsletter.
And get your EA shout out like Mike in Germany.
Or Anne in Hong Kong.
Head over to eroticawakening.com and subscribe today.
Real quick, Dawn, I wanted to mention that wonderful picture that Kay is for Kinky sent of their cat reading the polyamory toolkit. I didn't know cats could do that, but that one sure did.
I didn't either, but they said that Echo, their little kitty cat, highly recommends the book.
Fantastic.
A few tentacles I want to throw out there, and then we are going to wrap this show up so that we can go
Pump you up.
and sweat our asses off for the next 2 hours. So Pirate on Instagram loves to send me stuff and sent me some fan art that they are very intrigued with, and beautiful stuff. And then Minotaurus sent me, it's a crocheted one-eyed tentacle monster blanket.
Very cool.
So fascinating. That was really cool. And then Peachy's been sending me pictures. So long time listeners, all three of these. Thank you guys very much. I love when you send me stuff like that.
Be a part of the Erotic Awakening podcast community.
You can support us on Patreon and get early access to the ad-free version of the podcast, a free version of the audiobook Polyamory Toolkit, free ebooks, discounts on monthly Zoom classes, member-only Discord access, and more.
Find all the goodies at patreon.com/Erotic Awakening today.
Help others find us after 16 years. Take a moment to support the podcast. Rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.
Or just tell your friends.
Join the conversation with us and other listeners. Use the links from the Erotic Awakening website for our growing Discord channel.
Feel free to reach out to us. We love talking to you.
Contact us with questions, podcast comments, or just to say hi.
We are Dan and Dawn on Fetlife.
Erotic Awakening on Instagram.
Or just email us at dananddawn@eroticawakening.com.
Bye, Dan.
Bye, Dawn.
Pump you up.